So what's up?
Hey,
How you been?
oh, pretty good. Busy, working. I have a long-term sub position till the end of the year, teaching third grade.
You got way more patience than I do. I guarantee to you that.
Yeah, it's amazing how some of them are acting like they're teenagers already, with the attitudes and
Yeah,
not wanting to do what anybody tells them to. They want to do their own thing.
yeah. Well, they learned that from home,
Right?
you know.
Yeah, oh yeah. Everything that they see at home, they bring it with them. Yep, totally agree.
So you're dealing with third graders. So you got a permanent, basically, when do you get a permanent deal? What's the deal with that? When do you start getting, permanent?
Yeah, basically apply for ones that are open and have interviews and then they pick who they want to pick, you know. But being a sub's kind of good because then you can see where you want to kind of be, what grades are that you like. Yeah.
So anyway, now down to business, I guess. How was it like when you were, you know, a little bit about what it was like? Talk a little bit about what it was like when you got back from Desert Storm.
When I
How
got
you
back,
felt? Yeah,
okay, yeah, as soon as we came back, I started processing out because when I was over there, I was supposed to get out in February,
okay.
and a week before, like actually 5 days before I was supposed to fly back and process out. They said you're staying until we all go home. So
That's
then
where
we were
that's where that little thing on the orders that say variations authorized.
right.
That's
Yeah.
why that's where that bites you in the ass.
Right. Yeah.
Because
You're
my orders said 32 days.
okay.
And I ended up staying 7 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to get out in February and ended up getting out in June. And so yeah, came back, processed out, and took we had like these little classes at El Toro for when you're getting out, but they really didn't tell you a whole lot, you
Yeah.
know. And that's where you basically got your signed up to you paid for your plane tickets and all that stuff to go home. And but I was up in Tustin, and uh, I was from San Diego, so I basically took a bus. I went got on the Greyhound and took the Greyhound down to San Diego. Because what was the point of driving all the way into Los Angeles to go to the airport?
Yeah.
But I got out, and it was hard to find a job.
Yeah.
Even though I was built fuel farms and was refueling aircraft, nobody was hiring at the airports, and so I just started having to find anything. I got a job with a temp agency for a little while doing different stuff, and uh, then I got a job doing office maintenance and copy clerk. So I was running this big giant copy machine and was doing maintenance in the offices. And I did that for a couple years, and then the building manager hired me because they liked what they saw with me working with this other company, and they offered me a job doing building maintenance. And I did that for about 10 years, then left there and went to did building maintenance at Barona Casino in San Diego. And yeah, so yeah, but it took me a long time to to actually get a job, like a steady job after I got out. I
Was
even
it
whoop, go ahead.
was it demoralizing to have
Yeah,
to
pretty
go through
much.
that?
Yeah, it was. Even there was an advertisement in the newspaper if you wanted to learn how to work on jet engines. And I called the place and asked questions, and they're like, I told them I just got out of service and everything. And they're like, oh, well, we're not hiring anybody from the military right now. And I was like, what? I don't know if it was some kind of stigma left over from Vietnam and how they treated the people that got out, just
Yeah,
came home from a war, and we just, I just came home, and so I think maybe they thought maybe some of these guys might be screwed up in the head or something, or, you know,
that's the first time I've heard, well, after Vietnam and everything, but that's the first time I've heard anybody be overtly,
yeah,
um, what's the word I want? Where you're overtly discriminated against because you're a veteran.
right,
That's the
yeah,
first time I've ever heard of that post, after Vietnam was over. I'm talking about, during our window of military time.
right,
That's the first time I've heard of that being. I've heard of it being done, kind of under the table and not really just hush hush stuff.
yeah,
But I've never heard anybody come out and say that. You know,
right,
you
yeah,
know, I've heard of all these companies talk about, because I used to go to stuff too, and I heard of these companies talk about they want to hire veterans, but they say that on the front end, but the reality is that's just a front.
yeah,
They say that, but they really don't want that.
huh,
And I did a little search, I did a check, I was just research, and they were talking about how a lot of Fortune 500 companies don't want to hire veterans because they're scared of us, because
huh,
they don't know, because they link PTSD to the military.
right, huh, yeah,
So, I
wow,
mean, that had to be demoralizing when they came out and basically said that. It's just
oh
like,
yeah,
damn.
yeah, because I was proud of my service, and when they come out and say that, you're just like, man, that is really, it's screwed up, and you're like, what am I going to do if people are thinking that? How am I going to find a job?
Yeah,
A decent job, you
yeah.
know. But
Did the Marines kind of pump you up to get out, or did they just kind of give you your paperwork and say goodbye?
um, the only they pretty much just did, okay, here's your, did your paperwork, signed it, make sure everything was signed, and let you out. I did my our commanding officer. I saw him as when I was processing out, and he asked me, "You sure you don't want to reenlist, or um, at least reenlist in the reserves?" And I was like, "No," because at the time I was kind of done,
Yeah,
and just, we were in Saudi Arabia for 8 months, and I was like, I need a break.
yeah.
And but that was the only person that actually asked, and when processing out, they didn't say anything about reenlisting or anything like that.
Because when I got out, people were they did TAP seminars. It was like a week-long thing you had to go
Yeah.
to where they blow smoke up your ass and tell you everybody wants to hire you because of your dedication, your loyalty, you get up in the morning, you go to work, and all that bullshit that they
Right,
that they
right,
tell you, and then you get out and find out that that's not the reality of it. You
yeah,
know, they
yeah,
they they pump you up to think that you're some elitist. Because when I got out,
yeah,
I actually felt like there were going to be people standing in line to hire me because of my skills and everything that I've done.
right,
That and this is kind of a narcissistic attitude, but I honestly felt like there were going to be multiple job offers for me because of my time in, that people would respect that, and people would
right,
would
right.
look at that, and that they owed me a job. That was my attitude, which is
Okay.
jacked up. It's jacked up now that I look back at it. But
Right, right,
that's the kind of crap that they pumped into our head. There are going to
right.
be people standing in line to hire you, because
Yeah,
you've proven that you can be dedicated to a job, a task. They know you can get up in the morning and come to work, and they know that you're this dependable and integrity and loyalty and all that bullshit. That's
right.
that's what they tell you there. And then when I got out, my head was pretty big.
Yeah,
And then it got deflated real quick when I couldn't find a job making anything over $15 an hour.
right.
And then of course you go from the point of having housing,
Yeah,
having food to eat, and
Yeah.
having a paycheck,
Right.
worrying about what you're going to do about
Yeah.
housing, what
You know,
your
actually,
electric bill.
when I got out, I was a lot of jobs making minimum wage was like $5.25 an hour
Yeah,
at the time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, see, I got out in '04 since I retired, so the wages were a little bit
Okay.
higher. But
Yeah.
still, $15 an hour in California, in Southern California, is not. That's like
Uh-uh.
$5 and some odd cents.
Right.
When you
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
LA area,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, yeah. I mean, and I
Yeah.
got out, and I'm sitting there going, okay, now I have electric bills to pay. I have car insurance, which you always have that, but you don't have a steady income.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. And when I got out, I was still I had I had 4 years of inactive reserve that I was going to do,
Yeah.
and basically you go to the wherever they tell you you're gonna go sign this paperwork, and they give you a paycheck and you go home.
Yeah.
But the paycheck wasn't that much. It was like, I don't remember how much it was. It was like $50-$60 or something like
Travel
that.
pay,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
And there I was like started talking to them about maybe going into the reserves. So they started sending me information about the reserves and everything. And but ultimately I didn't go back in the reserves. um I mean, I was kind of, because I had been out for long enough that it was like, man, if I go back in, I got to go back in shape and everything, and run 3 miles, and yeah.
Well, it's the round is a shape. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
It's not the shape that they want, but it's
Yeah,
a shape.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those that when I got out, it was difficult. Just because it was demoralizing for mostly finding a job, and the jobs you did find, you didn't make enough money that you could support yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things that people really struggle with. Because you go from having three hots in a cot to
Yeah.
even as a single person, but if you have a family, you get out, then you have to worry about, finding a job to where you can support your family,
Right. Yeah.
and that gets to be problematic in
Yeah.
itself.
Yeah.
But you go from having three hots in a cot to like, what am I doing now? I mean, I don't know how many folks out here move back with their parents, you know,
Right.
but then again, I know folks that get out and stay in the area where they got out
Yeah.
of the military. I mean, so do you have a problem? You went back home, didn't you?
Yeah. I moved back in with my mom and my stepdad.
Yeah.
Right. And then I stayed there for a couple years, and then my grandparents had a camping trailer, which we moved on to a lot at a trailer park, and I lived in that for 4 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And then me and my sister moved into a condo together, and then we moved from the condo after we lived in the condo for like 4 years. Then we moved from the condo to a house, and I lived in that house for another 4 years. And then after I had left, my sister had left the house, and she moved in with her boyfriend, which is now her husband. And man, I stayed there for how long? A year, but 2 year or 2 years longer. And then I moved to Sierra Vista.
Why in the world did you move to Arizona? San Diego to Sierra Vista. That's a culture shock.
Right. Well, cost of living.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no way I would ever been able to buy a house in San Diego.
Yeah.
And I was working for the city in parks, and I went and applied to buy this house that I'm living in now, because it was only 85,000.
Yeah.
And and my mom and stepdad, because they were gonna co-sign so I can buy the house, and they said, "Oh, you qualify to buy it on your own." And I was
Good.
like,
Yeah.
"Awesome,"
Yeah.
and I was making like $14 an hour, and I qualified to buy a house.
Yeah.
No way that happened in San Diego.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, just the cost of living, and just because of the cost of living here, your quality of life is so much, so much better,
Yeah.
But
I know my mother-in-law loves Sierra Vista. That's all she can
yeah,
talk about.
right. Yeah. But we don't have a lot of things that you do have in the city,
Yeah.
in a big city. We have to travel to a big city to, like to go to Costco or anything like that.
Y'all don't even have, I mean, I'm going to speak because we don't have them here, but y'all don't even have a Waffle House. That's
No,
just
yeah, we
wrong.
don't. Yeah. I don't know why we don't. You think that we would, but because they have them in so many places.
Yeah, I know, because whenever I drive through Phoenix, and there's one in Tucson too, but every
Yeah.
time I drive through there, I always stop there and go.
They actually have some. They actually have pretty good waffles.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and y'all don't have an In-N-Out either. That's just wrong.
No. Yeah, you have to go all the way to Tucson for In-N-Out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, and all the Outback left. The Outback went out.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, because of the pandemic. They were doing drive up, but they weren't doing enough business to stay open, I
So
guess.
so Fort Huachuca is that's a pretty established military base,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Do you wish you had stayed in sometimes?
Sometimes, for the retirement part of it,
Yeah.
I'd already have one retirement in, and I'd be working on my second one,
Because I considered getting out at 17 years because I'd had enough. I was done.
Yeah.
And I just dealt with it and stuck it out for the next 3 years because I had had enough. I mean, it had changed so much.
Yeah.
When we went in, our NCOs and our officers were Vietnam era guys and gals. They were Vietnam people. Because I went in 84, and that was 9 years after Vietnam ended. So a lot of the people that were over 10, 11, 12 years, had 10, 11, 12 years in, were
Yeah.
all Vietnam era, and they
Wow.
were kind of more hard asses. Yeah, it was Air Force,
Yeah.
but not Marine hard asses, but they were still but
Right.
they were still hardcore military hard asses.
Right.
And by the time I got out, man, I'm just in 2004, and I was like, God, I just need to get out of here because it turned into doing the job to politics.
Oh yeah.
My last period in the military, my last 4 years was hell because I'm a lot of things. A politician ain't one of them.
All right. Yeah.
I can't stand politics.
Yeah.
If people can't stand me the way I am and the way I talk, then I don't. If you want to get butthurt because the way I talk to you, then that's not my problem.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And I got in trouble for doing stuff that had come normal because when I first went in, there was nothing wrong with taking somebody. You had a beef with them. You went there back and dealt with it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, we got in trouble. We got in trouble for we got written up and, letters of counsel and stuff for having arguments. I mean, no wailing on each other, just normal arguments and that kind of crap. And I was just like, eh. I mean, it had gotten to a point to where it just wasn't me anymore. I mean, it was, and I just couldn't wait to get out. But then I got out and found out what it was really like out here,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Kathleen kept telling me all the time. She's sitting there going, she goes, you got it made and don't even realize And she was right. I had it made and didn't even
Yeah.
realize.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of times I thought about, man, if I would have stayed in, you know, and if I would have re-upped when I was supposed to be getting out, you know, I could have probably picked if I want to go back over to Okinawa or if I wanted to go somewhere else in the States, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the problem with the Marines are that you're so limited to where you can go because they
Yeah.
don't have that many bases.
Right. Yeah. I probably would it would stayed. Well, see, and then the base I was at closed in the 90s.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I might have been stuck at like Camp Pendleton for a while, you know.
Or Lejeune.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Camp Lejeune. Ugh. Oh, yeah. Whew.
That's a swampy mess there, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Mosquitoes,
Yeah.
swamp. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I was just wondering how you dealt with getting out. I mean, it's you know,
It was a challenge. It
yeah,
was like it was hard, you know. It totally took all the confidence that you had built up, you know,
yeah,
and took it, you know, pretty much took it all away, and you were like starting all over again, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad enough after 4 years. I mean, 4, 5, 6 years in, but man, I mean, no offense to the folks that have been in 4 years, but imagine what it's like after 20,
Oh man.
30.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a culture shock too. It's just like, what
Yeah.
was some of the problems you had with people when you got out?
Yeah, I don't know. I think, you know, when I look back at it, I think I had a little bit of depression a little bit when I got, you know, because it was so different. And when I first got out, I moved to Houston, Texas, and my stepdad was there, and he got me a job working at this chemical plant making polyester resin for $5.25 an hour. I worked 7 days a week, 12-hour shifts, and every week you change shifts, and that was it was horrible.
Yeah.
I worked there for 2 months, and I stopped working there, and I couldn't find a job for 4 months. I looked for a job, nobody would hire me, so I moved back to San Diego and started looking for a job all over again in San Diego, and it took me a while. It took a long time.
Did you have a problem with? Because one of the biggest problems I had when I got out
Yeah.
was not being able to depend on people because
Yeah.
they have no integrity. It just appears that civilians a lot of times they don't have any integrity,
Yeah.
any loyalty, any
Yeah.
dedication to what they're doing.
Yeah.
It's and I really struggle with. It's like, just do what you say you're gonna do.
Right.
Be
Yeah.
on time.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
I mean,
And when you go to have an interview, or when you go to meet somebody and you're waiting for them for 15 or 20 minutes, you know, you're like, why can't you be here when you said you're going to be here, you know, even
Yeah.
though you're the one having the interview, you know. And yeah, it was different because everything you did in the military, you did it exactly at the time that you're supposed to be doing it.
Well, if you're not 15 minutes early, you're late. That was the mentality.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that so many folks that get out of the military struggle with. It's like people being on time, especially their spouses. It's kind of funny how that works. It's just it drives a lot of military folks crazy.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to be somewhere at 7 o'clock, and
Yeah.
5 minutes to 7 you're rolling out the door because they've been piddling around, and
Yeah.
that's something that
I had.
because my anxiety gets off the charts when I think I'm going to be late, because to me being late is a lot of times is disrespectful. It's it's like, you don't respect my time enough to be here on
Yeah.
time when you say you're going to
It's
do
like
what you're going to do.
it's like, and I had a couple of friends that, they were notoriously late, and I went to they said, okay, meet us at 7 a.m. and we'll go together. And, so I was like, okay, get there at 7 o'clock. 2 hours later, we're leaving. And you're just like, man, you guys are just ruining the whole day and you're wasting my time. And
Yeah.
yeah.
That's one of the biggest things that a lot of folks that were in the military struggle with that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like flaky people either. It's just like it's
Yeah.
trust is a big issue a lot of times
Yeah. Or
with
you're supposed to meet somebody to go somewhere. They're supposed to come to your place, and you're going with them, and like right when you're supposed to be, they're supposed to be there. They're calling you saying, "I'm not going to make it."
Yeah.
You're like, oh, why didn't you call me a half an hour or like 15 minutes ago? And yeah.
That's got and it's like one of the things also is like out here, it depends on who you are because what you can get away with. In the military, you know where the line is. You know what you can get away with. You know what the regulations are. It's written down. You know where you can go.
Right.
You know what you can do. You know what you can say. You know what you can get away with because you know where the limit is.
Yeah.
And out here, it's like the line moves depending on who you are.
Right.
If you're one of the boys or you're the boss's son or something like that, you can do anything you want to and get away with it.
Right.
And even in the military, you may be the prize troop, but there's still a limit to what you can do.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you know your place, and Yep.
You really don't think about it till you're in the middle of it, and it's like, and that usually happens with government jobs and stuff too. It's like, that, you got this. I mean, and no offense, because every job I've ever gotten except for one is because I knew somebody.
Okay.
And that's pretty standard. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Yeah. But when it comes family hiring you to do stuff, I mean, you look at a lot of the city and county. When you looked at the parks, when you moved there, worked at the parks.
Yeah.
How many family members were working for the city?
My family members?
No, I'm talking about.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, it was, a lot of people that worked for the city. Yeah, there was people like they couldn't be in the same department, but they worked in other departments, either wives or husbands or children or
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that drive a lot of people crazy.
Yeah.
They got that job because they got, not that they don't deserve the job, I'm not going to say that, but they got a leg up because of who their family member was.
Right. Yeah.
And that's one of the things that a lot of people struggle with too.
Yeah. Yep. One of my supervisors, he moved up and his son was just out of college. He got his son a job at the city, and his son's, working on his retirement, and he's retired. The dad's retired now, but the son's working on his retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll quit for now because I got to get to my other meeting, but thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Sure. No problem. I kind of like talking about the stuff because I haven't talked about it in so long.
That's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping people will open up and kind of let people out there know that they're not alone when they come to this stuff, when they're feeling this way. I mean, it was interesting that you got into your depression and stuff, that you fell into a little bit of a depression because of it.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's pretty standard. I mean, you're going from one life to a total another different part of your life,
Right.
phase of your life.
You're having to change. I mean, you're like having to change everything about you pretty
Yeah.
much so you can conform to a new way of life.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
undo all the shit done,
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
next time I want to talk to you a little bit about school. That would be an
Okay.
interesting topic.
Yeah.
Going to school and getting your 2 master's degrees, for Christ's sake. You're an overachiever. I feel like
I was gonna get my doctorate, but then I just was kind of between my wife and somebody else. I decided to get my teaching degree, the master's degree in teaching. Yeah, but
you make me
we'll
feel
talk
like a
about that.
slacker. You make me feel like a slacker.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I only have 1 master's degree. I feel like a slacker now.
Oh, jeez. I wouldn't look at everything you're doing with it, right?
Well, I think that it's amazing what you're doing with your life now. I mean, I think it's we all need that, and I think it's good for it's probably hard to not bring out that Marine sometimes in that classroom with all those 3rd graders, ain't it?
Yeah. Sometimes I think I'm a little too strict, but sometimes they need it.
All right, my friend. Thanks. Till next week.
All right, next week.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Thanks, buddy. All right.
All right. Have a good one.
All right. You too. Bye.
Bye.